Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Executive Director Podcast. My name is Becky Caldwell, and I'm your host. I'm an executive coach for mission and purpose-driven leaders, and I serve as the actual executive director of the Virginia Highlands Festival in Abingdon, Virginia. I am taking a few weeks off from actively producing the podcast so that I can accept this gift of time and pause and reimagine what this podcast could be, what it can offer to you, our audience. So I invite you to take the same gift of pause. And if you would like to get in touch with me directly and work with me as your coach right now, feel free to email me, becky@virtualexecutivedirector.com, or reach out to me on any of the social media platforms that are linked in the show notes. And let's have an initial conversation, because so much is possible right now, even amidst all the restrictions. So you just need to take that time to accept it and even maybe seek what those gifts might be. And I can help you with that. So while I'm pausing the podcast, I'm going to rerun some of my favorites. It's not going off the air completely. Or should I say off the internet completely? I'm going to rerun some of my favorites that I think will help get you in this spirit of acceptance and exploration. So without further delay, here is the episode for this week. This week begins a two-parter with Susan Axelrod. Susan is an executive coach like me, and she focuses on self-care for nonprofit leaders. Now, I know we are gearing up, or maybe if we haven't actively started gearing up yet, we're about to gear up. We're starting to gear up for year-end fundraising season. We've begun our fall seasons. It is a busy time, and it's really easy to put yourself last on the to-do list. So Susan and I got together and talked about self-care for nonprofit leaders. She has some great tools and tips to help you take better care of yourself so that you can take better care of your organization this fundraising season. So this week is part 1, and then next week I have part 2, because we went on for over an hour, and I try to keep my podcast shorter than that, a lot shorter than that, because we're all busy, and I want this to be just like a little snippet of greatness for your week. And so I've split this into 2. This week, she's going to share a bunch of cool things about self-care, including a one actionable thing. It's called the breathing stop, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. And then next week, we dive more into martyrdom and some other self-care issues that I'm really excited to share with you. So we're launching into the podcast recording right now. I may or may not edit this out. Susan and I have been in getting to know you mode for the past few minutes. There have been tears. There has been breathing. There has been sharing of woo-woo things that we didn't realize we were both into. And I finally just had to hit record because there was too much greatness being said to delay another moment. So let me introduce Susan real quick, and then I'll just say a couple things, and then Susan, I'll ask you to talk about yourself a little bit, and we'll just get rolling on this. So everyone, Susan is a fundraising coach. She's been in nonprofits for 30 years. She had approached me a while back, an embarrassing length of time ago. Like, I think it's been a year, because she was doing some research and wanted me to share some questions in our executive director mastermind group. And I, being whatever, you know what I mean? Like, we're all busy. It's no excuse. but I answered her in my head and not in reality. And then I was going through just a couple nights ago, I was going through old messages, and I was like, oh my gosh, what I just messed that up so bad, you know? And so I reached out to her. I'm like, Susan, hey, don't know if this is useful anymore, but I'm here, and so how'd that project go a year ago? So Susan, I would love for you to pick it up from here.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about yourself and what you were working on, and what just, I don't know, let's just talk. We're just going to have a conversation.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to know you. I'm very happy to know you about your work, which is what we were just talking about. I feel very, very deeply, very, very strongly that the work that you're doing is vitally important for our leaders, the people who are running the nonprofits of today. So I got into fundraising, as many did, decades ago, by accident, really. I needed a job, and I happened to get a job in fundraising. Within the first really few months, I knew that I loved it, and I got a certificate in my first year. And so that was coming up on 35 years ago.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I had a career as a practitioner. I worked for several different organizations as a practitioner. When my kids were coming into the later elementary school years, I knew that I wanted to be more available for them when they were into their middle school and high school years. And then some personal stuff happened, and I decided to become a consultant. I had tried to do part-time work, but everybody knows there's no such thing as a part-time working woman. And so even though you only get paid part-time and you only do it in part-time hours, you're still doing a whole job in part-time hours.
Yeah.
So the first person, I had been helping people for so long, the first person who called me to ask for help about something, I said, I'm starting a consulting practice so I can be, more available to my kids and whatever. She was like, how much are you going to charge? And honestly, I've been doing consulting work ever since in fundraising. I did go back for one full-time position, which was in the nice middle six figures. I was like a moth to flame in the nonprofit world of getting a real salary. But the truth is, it was the only bad job I ever had. Of course, I'm not going to go into the details, but suffice to say, well, let me not even go any further because people can easily find out where I worked. So never mind that. But suffice to say, I was there for 18 months, and I had to leave. I could not stay in that position.
Yeah, it never pays to chase the money, does it? Like
it really,
in fundraising or life.
I mean, the Clinique makeup, the cleaning lady, the guilt-free pedicures, it was nice, but not at that cost for ethics issues, So then I really went back to consulting, and in 2014, the Underdeveloped report came out. And with the Underdeveloped study, I created, working with a friend of mine, Marcy Stengel, we created Confident Fundraising. And I became a fundraising coach to nonprofit leaders because the Underdeveloped study said that the development world is imploding because they're bumping up against executive directors who are not comfortable with fundraising. So that is the trajectory of what happened. I started coaching nonprofit executives and nonprofit leaders. And in that coaching work, I found another persona in me, which is the persona that just came out a little bit new. And that is an intuitive persona. And in the beginning, I was like, what's happening here? But in the end, with the great feedback that I got from my clients, I did end up becoming a certified coach practitioner. And so today I live life as a coach. All the work that I do is coaching. Yeah. And I coach individuals. I coach women in midlife, some of whom have been nonprofit leaders, and I still have nonprofit clients.
Awesome. Well, so we wanted to have this conversation because we're coming up on fundraising season. And one of your areas of expertise is self-care during a busy time. And even though I've done a couple of episodes about it, or maybe more than a couple, because it's a thing for me, it's a thing for nonprofit leaders. I wanted to bring in your voice on this and your perspective and some new things, new tools that we can use to make it through year-end fundraising and still love ourselves, still love our families and our colleagues, and maybe not have developed, like a drinking problem.
Yes, I love it. Yay, I'm so excited. So the project to which you referred is a 6-part article series for Charity Channel. I pitched my idea to Stephen Nill, the founder of Charity Channel, last fall, and on doing some writing about self-care for nonprofit leaders. And Stephen said exactly what you just said, that there's not a lot out there about this important topic. And then we talked about the idea of a series. I thought I was going to be writing 500-word articles. He's like, oh, no, my articles are 2,000 words.
Oh my gosh. It's like a research paper 5 times.
Exactly. So then that's when I was looking for executive directors to interview. That's how I got to you. And so over the course I've been writing them the entire year since January. I've interviewed many amazing executive directors. I am pursuing this work. So I am still looking for executive directors who would like to share their story, their successes and challenges in self-care. Over the course of this year, I've become a little bit of a go-to person on this topic because of this article series, because Stephen has cultivated a distribution list by extension of 100,000 people.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow.
So now one of the things that I am working on is I'm putting together my article series. I'm going to publish a book. I'm going to pull out the many tools that are embedded in the article series. Some of them are my own, which I'll talk to you about. And some of them are tools that I learned from other executive directors. And this is going to be a self-care handbook for executive directors. And I'm very excited.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome.
I'm very excited about that.
This is so great. Well, you've got like a ready-made audience right here when you're ready to hit publish on that.
Thank you. I'm looking forward.
Okay, lots of questions popped into my head while you were talking. The first one is, what did you love about fundraising? Because, I mean, like you said, most executive directors, nonprofit leaders are just like, ugh, fundraising. What did you love about it?
Well, I want to tell you, Becky, that what I started to talk to you about before we went on air, I'm so happy to repeat. What I love about it is what you love about it. And that's when I looked you up. I did my homework, before I came on to be interviewed on this podcast. I love the same thing that you get. My confident fundraising methodology that I teach is based in strategy. And the strategy is not about asking for money. Never, 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 never. The strategy is about, I know, I can see your face.
I'm like bouncing in my seat right now. We're on a Zoom call, so we can see each other. And I'm just like, I cannot wait to hear what's going to, I'll stop talking.
Is based in offering a meaningful giving opportunity to the right person who actually cares about your mission. Now, you in your other podcasts, you talk about branding the mission and finding the people who love the brand. And that's what I talk about is I call it Who Cares? Who cares? Exactly. I do a whole workshop for nonprofits. Who cares about what you do? Those people that you're finding. So what I love the absolute most about fundraising is when my donor thanks me. And as a coach, I teach that when the donor thanks you for the opportunity to give you $100,000 or $10,000 or $1,000, whatever the level is for you, you got it right. And I cannot tell you, it's on my website, like my testimonials. The people say to me, oh my God, they thanked me. This just happened recently. And that's
Yes.
$300,000 gift.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah, like
that's really what I want.
when you look at fundraising as providing a service to your community, that totally changes the game. You're not out begging for money. Ugh, no one likes that.
Right. Well, listen, here's what I think we should do. I think we should plan for another podcast on fundraising.
Okay.
Because I can easily embed it back and forth with self-care.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about this topic because of what you said, that it's the busiest, we're coming into the busiest season of the year. But you and I have a lot to talk about and share about that idea. So let's.
So we'll do a part 2. We'll schedule a part 2, everyone. Yeah. Don't panic. Let's just get through this fundraising season and then we can work on next year's strategy. So, okay. I will also include a link to your charity channel articles because everyone's going to want to read those. So self-care. Let's talk about that. What is burning into your soul right now about self-care?
Okay. First of all, that it's needed. That is what is burning into my soul. The nonprofit sector has such serious and significant challenges. Can it overcome those challenges, Becky? I am not sure, but I need to put that in other hands that are greater than mine. So here I say that there's one thing that our nonprofit leaders can do to help grease the wheels of success, and that is commit to something called self-care. Let's talk about the big question. Well, what really is self-care? One of the people I interviewed was Laura Martz. She happens to be somebody I know. I used to work with. Now she's an executive director. And she said to me, I'm embarrassed to say it, Susan, but people used to talk about self-care, and I really wasn't sure what it meant. So here and now, I want to provide some discussion around this and some definition.
Okay.
Self-care is caring for self.
Wait.
All right, are you with me?
You might want to rewind that. Pause, get a pen.
Right. Self-care is caring for self. And the reason I say that is that you're different than I am. My self-care might be getting spa treatments and pedicures, and your self-care might be taking a run, and somebody else's self-care might be leaving work in enough time to have a nice family dinner. Okay, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on and on, all the different things, So the key that I would like our listeners to consider is themselves. Myself, me. What do I need? One of my articles is called What About Me? Because executive directors live all about everyone else. Their lives, their work from 12 hours a day or more is really all about others. It's about their team. It's about the board. It's about the consumers. It's about the community. And it may be about the world, right? And so where am I in that? My answer is at the core. And I really mean this, Becky. That's why, in spite of having a busy week, when you offered me this opportunity, I'm like, yes. I wanted to talk about this because I think it's that important. Now, we talked about the busy season coming up. Yeah. What does that mean? That means multiple galas going on. That means annual luncheons for numerous organizations that you have to go to. That means your board meetings. That means planning the budget for next upcoming year. That means the entire stretch of holiday season. Depending, many organizations are serving consumers during this time. It means deprecating what's going on in your life. And that may be your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. So for example, Alana Silber is the executive director in New Jersey of an organization. It's not a religious organization, but it's a Jewish-based organization. But it's not like a quote, a religious, it's a cancer organization.
All right. Is it Hadassah?
No. It's
Okay.
Sharet.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's a cancer-based organization. Yeah. And she told me that her Sabbath observance is a form of self-care for her. So there are certain Jews who observe the Sabbath in a certain way where they kind of go off grid and this and that. And so, that is there's no competing with that. That is a non-negotiable. So as another example for self-care for her. By the way, she also talked about having like my hours, that because she's a founder, or she's nearly a founder, we can do another show on founders, other things, but because she's a founder, her life is all integrated in with her work because it's all so important to her.
Yeah.
So is she ever really not working? Is she ever really not on? Yeah. And so therefore she's given herself permission to have, I think it's Tuesday and Thursday mornings till 11 a.m. Where she works from home. She is home. And that's her time. And she does do work sometimes, and she does do other appointments and whatnot. Yeah. So there's so many ways that we can provide for our self-care. What it comes down to, what really is burning my soul, is to have people understand the need for their own soul to be cared for. This work that we do is soul work. It has to be. Yeah. We don't get paid enough. Exactly. We don't get vetted enough. We don't get, lauded enough. This work is soul work. And in order for the soul to be able to be connected, I call it being, connected to self energy, your soul has to be fed. Now there's different ways. That means something different to different people. Yeah. So that's where I just get started.
Okay. Well, you mentioned tools, and you were before I hit record, we were breathing together. Do you want to talk about that?
I do. I always want to talk about that. So I lived the first few decades of my life in what I call a shallow breathing state. And I believe that executive directors live mostly in a shallow breathing state. There's a lot of fear around everything they do. I don't need to start listing because our listeners are smart and they're in it. Yeah. So there's fear, there's busyness, there may be chaos or whatever. And so you get into this, this shallow breathing state. Now, in those days, I made fun of people who talked about breathing, right? So that was, okay, yeah, that was me. Then I had my breakdown. Then I had my breakthrough. Yes. And today I teach the very basis of all self-care, which is breathing. In those moments, and I do know, because I feel energy, I can feel a lot of our executives who are listening to us are sort of saying, yes, I do that. Not in a way like this is not helpful, but it is a reminder to themselves. And so that ability in that moment, any moment, many moments, to take in that breath, that whole breath all the way in. Yeah. Because it opens up your energy, to move your energy. It clears, it literally clears. It also blocks the perseveration of worry and overwhelm that many people feel. So I created something I call the breathing stop. Would you like to do it with me now?
Yes, I would love to do it. Okay. And anyone listening, you can do it too with us.
Okay, so everyone listening, I want to invite you to sit up very straight and tall. Have your shoulders down and back, and take in a deep breath. Just breathe in and exhale. Now I want to invite you to roll your shoulders, roll both of your shoulders, roll one at a time, and stretch your arms out and back. Give yourself a really good back stretch. This is important because what we do to our physical bodies is hunch. We're hunched all the time. We're hunched over devices. We're hunched over our phones. We're hunched at our desks. We're hunched in chairs. We're hunched in meetings. So sit your body up, bring your back all the way up and stretch your upper back and take another breath in and exhale. And now I want to ask you to move your neck all the way to one side. Look all the way to one side, very gently stretching your neck muscles, and then look all the way to the other side, stretching your neck muscles very gently in case you have stiffness there, and then look all the way up, carefully with your back muscles, and then all the way down.
Now, if you're driving, wait till you're stopped.
Wait till you're stopped and take another breath in. And now relax. And that is called a breathing stop.
Nice.
So when I do that, I there's no talking. You can just do that exercise yourself. It takes but seconds to do, but it calms your heightened senses. And it calms the synapses that are connecting, and you can feel your shoulders come down.
Oh, it felt so good. That felt so good. My neck in particular, like just turning to look each direction just felt like, whoo, y'all. I hope everyone had a chance to do that.
Yes, stretching your neck muscles is actually very important because as we age, our neck muscles tighten and we can easily get an injury from tightened, muscles back there. There's one more piece of this, which is a next level, which I'm going to say, and it may or may not resonate with some people, but I really do invoke visualization in my work. Every day, all the time. We'll talk about that more. But if you are in a place where you can really take a good minute or two to do this, when you look up in the tool, when in the exercise, you can visualize the sky. And there's a lot about that. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but when you look up, you can visualize the sky, the clear blue sky with the clouds going by. And when you look down, you can visualize the ground, which is grounding. And the ground that you visualize should be one that you love. It could be sand at a beach. It could be grass. It could be a hiking trail. It could be a walking path. It could be your floor that you worked so hard to have put in and that you love, whatever it is. You can infuse visualization into the breathing stop, which gives you heightened levels of impact and, it infuses energy.
Nice. And what about even just going outside? Like if we had the luxury of stepping away to do this in nature, I imagine would amplify the effect.
So I call nature one of the windows to the soul. Where are my books? I don't have my books right with me, but I have 2 books that I published. And I'll give you the information. You can drop it in the notes. And one of them is called Your Job is to Be. It's a book on soul connection. And the other is an actual book of meditations. And so in the book, Your Job is to Be, I have a chapter called Windows to Your Soul, and nature is a window to your soul. So it is very, 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 very true that if you can just craft 3 minutes to go outside, to look at the sky, to literally just take a breath of fresh air, you create a stop to the anxiety and worry and stress, and you can breathe and come back in. I love to have outdoor meetings. When I meet, I sit on a picnic table with a person, so I love to have outdoor meetings if I can. Walking meetings are fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I need to incorporate more walking meetings into my life. I've started taking more of them outside my office, which helps a lot. But walking meetings, you guys, if anyone does walking meetings, let us know
in the
how
Facebook
that works
group.
for you.
Yeah, it's important. Of course, you can't take notes in walking meetings, but you can voice dictate.
Yes, that is true.
Yes, when you're walking, you can pull up an email and you can voice dictate into an email, or you can voice record, of course, that you can then transcribe later. So honestly, Becky, the thing that I am teaching about self-care, I'm writing about it in my articles, is that there are simple, free things that are able to be done. Now, can you get your butt to a gym? Can you just get your butt to a gym? Can't you just do it? This was the thing I probably heard the most, that I can't get
exercise. You can't get to the gym. Yeah.
Right, that I can't get to the gym. The physical activity, the physical outlet is something that is vitally important. Our mental health does depend on our physical health, not just physiologically, but also from a mindset. Okay.
Yes.
So I learned many, many years ago, when I couldn't get to a gym, when I was in this life that we're talking about. My doctor told me about something that many people here also do know about, and that is working activity into your regular life, parking far away and walking stairs instead of elevators, et cetera, et cetera. I am a living, breathing, physical example of how that really does work. I did, in fact, integrate working out later, but that was later. My daughter was graduated from college the first time I think they were in high school when I started going to the gym, but that was much, much later. So these tools really, there's no excuse not to do them. There's one more thing. Let me stop, because I have a lot to say.
Okay. No, it's okay. You said there was one more thing. What's the one more thing? And like that, this week's episode comes to a suspenseful close. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please share it with a friend. If you haven't subscribed yet to the podcast, why not? Subscribe. It is available everywhere you get podcasts. And if you really needed that breathing stop moment, I bet there are other people in your organization or in your orbit who need it as well. So share that technique with them. Come back next week to hear the second half of our interview. And remember, we shine brighter together